Well, good morning, everybody. How you folks doing today? Well, the reason I'm on here is the fact that I just did a video on winter gardening, what I was planting for my winter garden, or started in my winter garden, and that was garlic and beans. Remind you, I live in north central Texas. I live in zone 8. You have to check your time zone to see what you can plant in your area this time of year in November. In north central Texas, we have warmer winter times than a lot of other states do. So we have a longer growing season. We can grow more through the winter months than most people can. So, I mean, like in California, they can grow all year. Texas, we can grow just certain things through the winter months, you know, the cold hardy plants, perennial flowers, that type of thing. But I did get a comment, I think from a lady in Cincinnati. And she said, well, we can plant garlic and beans this time of year. Well, I'll tell my son, well, I don't know, because I don't know what your planting zone is. You have to check, find out what your planting zone is to determine what you're able to plant in your area this time of year. Because what I can grow here in zone 8, you may not be able to grow where you're at. Like in New York City, you definitely couldn't plant probably the garlic or the beans or anything through the winter months. I'm not sure. I've never tried to plant up there. I don't know. You know, I've never checked to see what you could plant. So you'd have to do some research and figure out what you can plant in your time zone. I go from experience of what I can plant here. I've gardened here in Texas for over 40 years. So I know pretty much what I can grow and what I can't grow, what time of year. And I know you are challenged regardless of whether it's a summer garden or a winter garden, fall garden, or what. Because even though we have warmer, hot weather in the summer, sometimes like this past summer, we had an extreme drought all summer long. Basically no rain. So my plants suffered. A lot of them died from the heat and no water. You just have to plant, take a risk, and accept it if your plants die. You know, I mean, that's the way gardening is. You just never know. You can't predict. I mean, you can go on what's happening for the last couple of years in your area and then kind of judge what you can plant for the next year based on that. But even that is not 100% guarantee that you're going to have the same winter or the same summer every year. Due to the climate change and everything, we are supposed to have warmer winters now. I think in everybody's area, the temperature is warming up, even in the summer. So that might allow for more planting. I don't know. I don't plant in a high tunnel. I do have a small greenhouse that I put rose cuttings, stuff like that in to root during the winter months. I don't really grow anything in there because it gets too cold, even in the greenhouse, as small as it is, to keep plants alive, unless it's a cold hardy plant. I did keep my tree collards alive in there last year. I rooted rose bushes in there, and so far I've already got a few rose cuttings that I'm rooting right now in my greenhouse. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if I'm going to move my tree collards in there or not this year. The tree collards are supposed to survive outside. I haven't left mine outside yet because I don't know. What I may do is put most of them in the greenhouse where I have a little bit of heat. I mean, it's just basically from a heat light. But I found last year even my aloe vera froze in the greenhouse, even with the heat light on. So it got too cold in there. So unless you think your plants can survive outside in the freezing cold temperature, I don't suggest putting it in a small greenhouse like I've got, unless you've got a better source of heat than what I've got out there. And really, I could not afford to put the heater in that little bitty greenhouse to keep it warm enough to keep my plants alive through the winter months. It wouldn't be cost efficient. Yeah, you got to check your time zone. Figure out what you can plant in your area, and then you can plant. Just because I can plant it here doesn't mean you can plant it where you're at. Like I said, I'm in zone 8. Check your time zone. Figure out where you're at as far as time zones are, or growing zones, and go from there. Sometimes I wish I had a climate like California so I could grow something year-round. I mean, you can plant a tomato plant there, and it lives year-round till it just gets old and just dies off. I mean, you basically don't kill it, you know. I mean, the temperature stays warm enough. They barely ever have a freeze. And then, depending on where you've got your plants, it may not freeze long enough, stay at the freezing temperature low enough, long enough to freeze your tomato plant. So you just got to judge. You got to do your research. You got to check. First of all, like I said, just figure out what time, not time zone, what planting zone you're in. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, what area you're in, to judge what you can plant in the winter months, in the fall, in the summer, in the spring. I mean, mine will live most of the winter until we have a really, really hard freeze. And then that'll kill just basically everything off in my garden, or to cause it to die back. Some of it may come back up next year, but yeah, I didn't want to lead anybody astray. I was afraid if you watched that last video, I didn't mention planting zones. I just said where I was located, which is north central Texas. But yeah, you've got to check your time zone. I mean, your planting zones. I keep calling it time zones. I don't know why. But yes, you got to check your planting zone and figure out. You can get planting zone maps or guides off the internet that can tell you exactly what you can plant and when to plant it according to your time zone. I mean, your planting zone. I can't believe I keep saying that. So do your research on it, figure out what planting zone you're in, and go from there. You know, I don't want someone to watch my video and say, oh, I can plant garlic, I can plant beans right now. Well, you may not be able to. Like I said, I'm in north central Texas. This is zone 8. Check your planting zone, how cold it is in your area, and figure out what you can plant this time of year. Because just because I can plant it this time of year does not mean that you will be able to plant it as well. So, check your planting zone, do your research, and have happy planting. And I'll see you on my next one. Bye now.